Hi there. We're back for chapter 63. So, a lot was happening when we left Odd. Nothing good. He had stopped Varner after Varner had shot up the mall pretty well. Varner had shot up a bunch of storefronts before Odd was able to stop him and kill him, one of which was the ice cream shop that Stormy worked in. But Odd wasn't able to even check and see how she was doing because his psychic magnetism was pulling him towards another area of the mall. And he followed that and found a truck bomb. And in the process of defusing the truck bomb, he was shot a couple times. And that's where we left it, was him losing consciousness after having been shot a couple of times. So here we go. Chapter 63. Stormy Llewellyn and I had moved on from boot camp to our second of 3 lives. We were living great adventures together in the next world. Most were lovely romantic journeys to exotic, misty places, with amusing incidents full of eccentric characters, including Mr. Indiana Jones, who would not admit that he was really Harrison Ford and Luke Skywalker, and even my Aunt Simri, who greatly resembled Jabba the Hutt but was wonderfully nice, and Elvis, of course. Other experiences were stranger, darker, full of thunder and the smell of blood, and slinking packs of bodaks, with whom my mother sometimes ran on all fours. From time to time I would be aware of God and his angels looking down upon me from the sky of this new world. They had huge, looming faces that were a cool, pleasant shade of green, occasionally white, though they had no features other than their eyes. With no mouths or noses, they should have been frightening, but they projected love and caring, and I always tried to smile at them before they dissolved back into the clouds. Eventually, I regained enough clarity of mind to realize that I had come through surgery and was in a hospital bed in a cubicle in the intensive care unit at County General. I had not been promoted from boot camp after all. God and the angels had been doctors and nurses behind their masks. Simri, wherever she might be, probably didn't resemble Jabba the Hutt in the least. When a nurse entered my cubicle in response to changes in the telemetry data from my heart monitor, she said, "Look who's awake. Do you know your name?" I nodded. "Can you tell me what it is?" I didn't realize how weak I was until I tried to respond. My voice sounded thin and thready. Odd Thomas. As she fussed over me and told me that I was some kind of hero and assured me that I would be fine, I said Stormy in a broken whisper. I had been afraid to pronounce her name, afraid of what terrible news I might be bringing down on myself. The name is so lovely to me. However, that immediately I liked the feel of it on my tongue once I had the nerve to speak it. The nurse seemed to think that I'd complained of a sore throat, and as she suggested that I might be allowed to let a chip or two of ice melt in my mouth, I shook my head as adamantly as I could and said, "Stormy, I want to see Stormy Llewellyn." My heart raced. I could hear the soft and rapid beep, beep, beep from the heart monitor. The nurse brought a doctor to examine me. He appeared to be awestruck in my presence, a reaction to which no fry cook in the world is accustomed and with which none could be comfortable. He used that word hero too much, and in my wheezy way I asked him not to use it again. I felt crushingly tired. I didn't want to fall asleep before I'd seen Stormy. I asked them to bring her to me. Their lack of an immediate response to my request scared me again. When my heart thumped hard and my wounds thrumped in sympathy, in spite of any painkillers I was receiving. They were worried that even a 5-minute visit would put too much strain on me, but I pleaded, and they let her come into the ICU. At the sight of her, I cried. She cried too, those black Egyptian eyes. I was too weak to reach out to her. She slipped a hand through the bed rail, pressed it atop of mine. I found the strength to curl my fingers into hers, a love knot. For hours she had been sitting out in the ICU waiting room in the Burke Bailey uniform that she disliked so much. Pink shoes, white socks, pink shirt, pink and white blouse. I told her that this must be the most cheerful outfit ever seen in the ICU waiting room, and she informed me that little Ozzy was out there right now, sitting on 2 chairs, wearing yellow pants and a Hawaiian shirt. Viola was out there too, and Terry Stambaugh. When I asked her why she wasn't wearing her perky pink cap, she put a hand to her head in surprise, for the first time realizing that she didn't have it, lost in the chaos at the mall. I closed my eyes and wept, not with joy, but with bitterness. Her hand tightened on mine, and she gave me the strength to sleep and to risk my dreams of demons. Later, she returned for another 5-minute visit, and when she said that we would need to postpone the wedding, I pushed to remain on schedule for Saturday. After what had happened, the city would surely cut all red tape, and if Stormy's uncle wouldn't bend church rules to marry us in a hospital room, there was always a judge. I had hoped that our wedding day would be followed at once by our first night together. The marriage, however, had always been more important to me than the consummation of it, now more than ever. We have a long lifetime to get naked together. Earlier she had kissed my hand, now she leaned over the railing to kiss my lips. She is my strength, she is my destiny. With no real sense of time, I slept on and off. My next visitor, Carla Porter, arrived after a nurse had raised my bed and allowed me a few sips of water. Carla hugged me and kissed me on the cheek, on the brow, and we tried not to cry, but we did. I had never seen Carla cry. She is tough. She needs to be. Now she seemed devastated. I worried that the chief had taken a turn for the worse, but she said that wasn't it. She brought the excellent news that the chief would be moved out of the ICU first thing in the morning. He was expected to make a full recovery. After the horror at the Green Moon Mall, however, none of us will ever be as we had been. Pico Mundo, too, is forever changed. Relieved to know that the chief would be okay, I didn't think to ask anyone about my wounds. Stormy Llewellyn was alive. The promise of gypsy money would be fulfilled. Nothing else mattered. All right, that was chapter 63. See you next time for chapter 64.